Welcome to your November 2021 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost because it will be the most accurate for you overall. Having said that, if you've got time to watch your sun and moon sign horoscopes as well, go for it because the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will pertain more to your living circumstances and your family life. Now, I've got an exciting announcement to make. I am putting together 2022 horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. So these horoscopes will be super in-depth and you'll be able to purchase yours on sale if you buy during November or in the first 2 weeks of December. So these will retail for $16.99 US, but you'll be able to purchase yours on sale during that period of time for just $12.99. So please make sure you are subscribed to the channel and checking the website regularly because there will be an announcement once these are available for sale. And now let's dive into the November horoscopes. Hi Sagittarius, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your November 2021 horoscope. Before I get into your reading today, I'm going to do something a little bit different and pull an animal spirit totem card just to see what energies are going to be with you for the month ahead. Straight away, the owl has come out, and I also have a little owl figurine here. Owls are actually my favorite animal, fun fact about me. So owls are known for being very wise creatures, and of course they are nocturnal. So I've actually prepared a lot of notes about how there's going to be a lot of sleepless nights for November for you guys, and this owl just confirms that. Now you may be getting your best work done in the evenings, or you may just feel like there's a lot going through your mind and so you're not able to sleep. But owl energy is here to say that having patience will serve you well for the month ahead because things will have a way of working themselves out. And lastly, with this message, I just want to say if you've got an important decision to make, my best life advice is always wait at least one night. Just sleep on it for one night and then you'll have a lot of clarity for the next day. So now let's get into your reading. On the 30th of October, Mars entered the sign of Scorpio, which means it's transiting your 12th house. So with Mars in your 12th house for the whole month of November, this is where you're going to have a lot of restlessness because the 12th house represents our sleep and our ability to relax. Wherever Mars goes, this is where we're putting a lot of our time and our energy. So if Mars is representative of taking action and coming up with strategies, with Mars in your 12th house of sleep and rest and relaxation, this just indicates that there's not going to be a lot of time for that. So with Mars in your 12th house and the Sun, because it's Scorpio season, your vitality is going to be lowered. And this is more for Sagittarius suns actually, and that's because Scorpio season precedes Sagittarius season. So whenever the sun is in the sign which precedes our sun sign, this is when we can be feeling quite lethargic. This is when we're going to have lowered vitality, lowered energy levels, and it's just unfortunate that you've got Mars and the Sun in your 12th house because this shows being tired but then not really being able to relax. Not that I want to start on an overwhelmingly negative note. This transit is an amazing time for you guys to get to the root cause of some kind of deep-seated issue. The 12th house represents our fears and our subconscious blockages. Now with Mars ruling over your 5th house of creativity, this can see you basically piercing the veil when it comes to whatever creative blockages you've been experiencing, and now you're going to be able to experience a much better state of creative flow. Now, the 12th house is linked to deep introspection and healing. So you may be studying things like psychology or studying astrology or anything which is related to spirituality and divination. In any case, this can show you practicing meditation, practicing yoga, practicing with your tarot cards if you have them, or if you are studying astrology, this can see you having major breakthroughs in astrology or in anything esoteric in nature which you may be studying. Now, Mercury will enter the sign of Scorpio on the 7th of November, and this shows that you may be engaging the services of a psychologist or of an astrologer or a tarot reader. And some of the other areas that the 12th house rules over would be numerology, Reiki healers, and it's also going to be a great time for you guys to do a bit of cord cutting, or you may even be engaging the services of someone who can do a past life regression for you. The 12th house in astrology is connected to our most immediate past life, and the 12th house is associated with not just spirituality, but also other realms and the other side. So you may be having a lot of spiritual experiences during the month of November. Now, on the 4th or the 5th of November, depending where you live in the world, there will be a new moon in Scorpio in your 12th house, and it will be in a wide conjunction with Mars, which is the ruler of the new moon, given that Mars naturally rules Scorpio. This new moon will be in exact opposition with Uranus in Taurus in your 6th house, and will be making a square to Saturn in Aquarius in your 3rd house. New moons indicate a new chapter starting somewhere in our lives. So for some of you Sagittarians, you may be starting some kind of new artistic project or creative project. Now, this could very well involve a creative gift or talent of yours, as shown by Mars ruling over your 5th house, which represents your natural gifts and talents. This may have a 6 or 18-month cycle. Maybe you're starting to work on something, but it won't be ready to release for another half a year or 1.5 years until the full moon in Scorpio, in 6 months' time or the following one. Now, this could see you putting some plans into motion to transition out of your current job or the industry that you are in. And I'm saying this because Uranus is in your 6th house, and the 6th house represents your work environment and your day-to-day job. Now, you could just be taking on some kind of creative project which involves a lot of intricate details, which is represented by this opposition to Uranus. Now, I should mention that this creative project or this artistic goal that you may be embarking upon does not necessarily need to be, like the fine arts or involving poetry or photography, which are some of the functions of the 12th house. This could also be you developing some kind of app or website or software, or maybe you are inventing something in secret. And I mention this because the 12th house represents anything that we do in secret, and Scorpio itself is connected to secrecy. And Mars actually rules over engineering and innovation. Yes, Uranus does as well, but in ancient astrology, we looked to Mars for these things. And given that both Mars and Uranus are involved with this new moon, maybe some of you really are working on something which is going to be a groundbreaking invention or something that's quite innovative. And again, this may just have like a 6-month or 18-month cycle. Now, another way that this new moon in your 12th house can play out is that you may just have a newfound interest in spirituality. Now, this could involve meditation, yoga, astrology, tarot, and all those things that I mentioned before. So you may have a specified interest in one or more of those things. Now, on a different level and on a more psychological and spiritual level, this can see some of you entering what's called the dark night of the soul. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail with this one, but if you haven't heard of it before, the dark night of the soul is basically another term for having a spiritual awakening. Now, when people say they've had a spiritual awakening, sometimes we just think that this person just jumped out of bed and then all of a sudden they went and bought a tarot deck. It's not really like that. Spiritual awakenings are usually preceded by a period of time where a person loses interest in things that they used to be passionate about. They may withdraw from family and loved ones. They may become quite philosophical in nature or even quite cynical in nature. And you may feel like you're going through some kind of spiritual, well, death, if I can use that word. So I don't want to freak you guys out. I'm mentioning this more so for the people who are already feeling this way, because it doesn't necessarily come on overnight. If these things are resonating with you, then I strongly recommend that you do your own research into what the dark night of the soul means. Another way that you may notice that you're experiencing these things is that you may be seeing a lot of synchronicities. You may be seeing angel numbers such as 333 or 444 or 1111. Now, you may also be seeing a lot of animal imagery which is connected to the spirit realm, such as the owl, such as the crow, and also butterflies are associated with transformation as well. Okay, I explained that way more than what I was intending to do, but there you have it. Now, on the 10th of November, we will see Mercury and Mars forming an exact conjunction in Scorpio in your 12th house. Mars represents some kind of innovation or discovery taking place, and Mercury represents our perspective, and it also represents documentation and paperwork and information. So a lot of you Sagittarians will be doing some sort of deep research into anything which is esoteric in nature or spiritual in nature. So you may be looking into meditation. You may be looking into what happens after you die. You may even have some very spiritual and profound experiences either while you are meditating or perhaps during your sleep. This is certainly a conjunction where some of you may receive messages from loved ones on the other side or from your spirit guides. If you don't know what spirit guides are, this is a great time for you to investigate that. Now, on a different level, you may actually discover that you have some kind of psychic gift. So this could be clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance. Now, if those topics are quite new to you, or if those concepts are something that you've never heard of before, again, this will be a really great time for you to do some research on those things, because chances are, as Sagittarians, you've already had some of these experiences and you simply haven't realized exactly what they were. So Sagittarius as a sign is actually considered to be one of the most spiritual and one of the most psychic. So a lot of you will be having these profound experiences, and you could even have a life-changing astrology reading or tarot reading. Now, on the 14th of November, Mercury in Scorpio in your 12th house will be making an exact opposition to Uranus in Taurus in your 6th house. 4 days later, on the 18th of November, Mars in Scorpio in your 12th house will make this exact same opposition. So I'm going to interpret both of these transits at once. If I was going to narrow down the dates of when this would impact you, I'd say from about the 12th or the 13th of November through till around the 19th or the 20th of November. So this can see you experiencing a sudden release from some kind of addiction, or the removal of some sort of subconscious fear. Certainly a creative blockage can be removed during this period of time. And that's because Uranus represents divorcing from something or a sudden change in circumstances. And Uranus in your 6th house of conflict can show the removal of some kind of conflictual situation or something which has been causing you to feel like you're out of balance. Now, this can see you cutting out self-sabotaging behavior, which is another function of the 12th house. With Mercury ruling over your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, if you've been struggling in that department, whether that is with a romantic partner, whether that is with being able to attract a partner, or this could just be with relationships in general, this transit will allow you to see where you are playing a big part in the breakdown of these certain relationships, or dare I say, in the self-sabotaging of these relationships to even begin. Now, with Mercury also ruling over your 10th house, which represents your career and your public reputation and your vocation, we once again can see where your self-sabotaging behaviors are coming into play. So this is about you realizing and understanding how you yourself have been holding yourself back from these opportunities to enter into a healthy relationship or to progress with your career. I'm not trying to blame anything on you guys. This is about you having a profound realization or epiphany which really liberates you from the issues that you may have been experiencing in these areas. Now, the 6th house in astrology represents our open enemies, and the 12th house in astrology represents our hidden enemies. So because we are going to see Mercury, Mars, and the Sun all in your 12th house, which represents that which is hidden and unknown to us, and all of these planets are opposite Uranus, which represents divine truth, you will have an ability to see situations for exactly what they are. And this represents your relationships with certain individuals. Uranus rules over your 3rd house. So you may have some conflictual relationships with friends, relatives, siblings, neighbors, co-workers, clients, teammates, schoolmates. All of these people or these groups are governed by the 3rd house in astrology. So this whole discovering a hidden enemy or someone who doesn't have your best interests at heart, it's likely to pertain to one of those people if you are experiencing this. Just remember that this is a general reading, so not all of these transits are going to impact you in this way. So essentially, Mercury and Mars making an exact opposition with Uranus in your 6th house shows your ability to cut off these people, to cut out the toxicity within these relationships, and you will understand the way that certain relationships have been impacting you negatively. Now, the 3rd house rules over news sources and reading materials, and the 6th house is connected to our daily habits. So even if you're not experiencing some kind of deep-seated tension with another person, it may just be that you are discovering and realizing that certain daily practices or certain news sources which you go to for your kick of daily news are having a super negative impact on you. Now, the 3rd house rules over technology, and Uranus is also connected to technological devices, and with the 6th house representing our daily habits, maybe some of you Sagittarians are just realizing that you're spending way too much time on your computer or on your devices, whether this is calling people, spending time on social media, watching porn, whatever it is. What you are using your devices for may be having a harmful and negative impact on you. And this could just be, the amount that you're doing something. I'm not saying, don't ever use social media again. This is about understanding that you should be doing things in moderation, because an excess of these habits can be basically creating an imbalance in your perspective and with your state of mind, as shown by Uranus ruling over your 3rd house. Now, lastly, for the month, on the 19th of November, there will be a lunar eclipse in Taurus at 27 degrees in your 6th house. Every time we experience an eclipse, we start feeling a bit restless, we can be fatigued, we can feel a little bit emotional, and this starts at about 4 to 6 weeks before the eclipse, and it can last 4 to 6 weeks after. I'm going to skip ahead here and tell you Sagittarians that there is a total solar eclipse in Sagittarius in the first week of December. So you're definitely going to be feeling the energy around this time, which once again is the 19th of November. So lunar eclipses are about the ending of a chapter or a cycle in our lives. You can think of lunar eclipses or full moon eclipses as being full moons on steroids. So they're extremely powerful. Now, fortunately, this lunar eclipse has some very positive aspects that are going on with it. Now, we want to look at what the ruler of the eclipse is doing. So because it's in the sign of Taurus, we now want to look at Venus, because Venus rules Taurus. At the time of the eclipse, Venus will be in Capricorn, and it will be making an exact trine to Uranus, which is also in Taurus in your 6th house. So once again, we want to go over what the 6th house rules over. It represents your health. It represents any situation which is out of balance. It represents having conflicts with other people. It also rules over court cases and our daily work environment, and it rules over our daily habits. So this can see there being a powerful ending when it comes to one or more of those areas of your life. Some of you may be seeing the end of some kind of health issue or ailment, or a court case can finally come to a close. Now, with Venus in Capricorn in your 2nd house, trining Uranus in Taurus in your 6th house, I see this as you being able to end a court case with a family member where the ruling is in your favor. And I say this because Venus represents our relationships with other people, and the 2nd house in astrology, as well as the 4th house, is associated with our family. So if you've been experiencing issues or conflicts with a family member, whether it's a court case or just day-to-day issues, especially if they're about money and resources as represented by Venus in your 2nd house, well, you can finally see an end to these matters. And if someone owes you money, this can finally be repaid to you. Now, Venus represents food and what we're eating, and the 2nd house also represents food as well. So this trine to Uranus in the 6th house shows that you're able to cut out foods that are having a negative impact on your health. Maybe you were unaware that you were allergic to certain foods, or that you had an intolerance to certain foods. Maybe you were aware, but you just haven't been able to eliminate this from your diet. Uranus represents having a divorce from something or someone. So this shows that you are able to cut these foods out of your life. Now, Venus in Capricorn will be making a sextile to Mars in Scorpio in your 12th house. So this shows that you're actually receiving a lot of spiritual support at this time, and this is going to help you to get through this ending of a difficult chapter in your life. Now, the harsh aspect that the moon is making is actually a square to your ruling planet, which is Jupiter, and this will be in Aquarius in your 3rd house. The moon is all about healing energy, and it's all about nourishing ourselves, and Jupiter is associated with freedom and mercy and forgiveness, and it also represents receiving a blessing. So what does the hard aspect mean? What does the square or the challenge pose? This just shows that your beliefs, as represented by Jupiter, are in contradiction with your current outlook or perspective on life. Maybe you've experienced some kind of download of information, and you now have all of this spiritual knowledge, and you're not able to prove it with facts and figures. With Jupiter being in your 3rd house, which represents your ability to communicate with other people, you may have this experience where people aren't understanding what you're saying, and you know something is true, you know something's going to happen. You've had this like prophetic dream or experience, and people just aren't taking you seriously. So this can just show that you have this unprovable knowledge via spiritual encounters or experiences, and others are doubting the truth. But don't worry, Sagittarius, because after this total solar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius, just 2 weeks later, people will finally understand what you've been trying to tell them. And so, Sagittarius, that's all I have for you for November 2021. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Enjoy your month ahead, and make sure you check out your December horoscope, because it will be all about you.